Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Don Lemon Show. We have a very special guest with us, returning guest, by the way, actor, author, commentator, a legendary stand-up comedian, good guy all around. He doesn't really like to say what's on his mind. He's a little timid, so we're going to try to pull him out of his shell, and that's DL Hughley. How you doing, my brother?
That describes me to a T. I'm good, man. What about you?
I'm doing well. I'm so glad to have you here. We need more voices like you out there speaking out here on these streets doing it. What's on your mind?
I really just am disappointed.
Wait,
well,
DL, can I say something? I'm sorry.
Sure.
I hate to cut you off. Let me give you your flowers, because I haven't spoken to you. I told you over text. What you did on that stage at the Republican convention by saying, you know what, I was wrong about what I said about Vice President Kamala Harris. I'd spread misinformation, and I am sorry. To do that in front of an international audience takes a real man to do that, and I don't see anyone on the Republican side standing up and being a man like that. So I commend you for doing that. Good for you.
Well, me and you apologize to each other.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I think that when you, man, I just turned 60. So when you get older, it's like, really what I feel like is mostly I feel repentant in the fact that I was so strident against a really amazing woman. And it doesn't matter how much you apologize or what form you use, the damage was done. I mean, every time I say something, then people will say what I said in 2019. And I think so. There's no way to apologize to somebody after you've already. It's hard to pull your knife out of somebody while you and apologize. But ultimately, I feel very repentant. I think that it was, and I'm mostly don't understand how it is that I made those assertions without even looking.
Doing the research. People do it all
Well,
the time.
because research is such a misnomer because most people research to prove proper research is to disprove what you believe. The thing we call research is to prove what you believe.
Right.
Like it's
Confirmation bias. That's what
right.
That's what it is. Yeah.
And so I wanted. Obviously, I grew up in California. California at that time was Texas, and did some very it was three strikes law. And this is by no excuse by the way, but the three strikes law, Proposition 209, 211. It was a very repressive place, and I watched it chew up a lot of people. So any agent of that system, I would greet with suspicion. It doesn't justify not looking at this individual, but at the point when I grew up and it was before this transformation, there had never been. She might have coined the phrase progressive prosecutor. No one ever heard that before, so it would have been a misnomer.
Yeah. So what do you think? Are you watching these polls?
Of course. Of course. But polls are really funny because the quickest way to make a black dude lie to you is ask him a question with a clipboard in your hand. You know what I'm saying? We don't care about the way. If you ask black people, if you finally get on the phone to ask them what they want, they're going to be suspicious. They going to lie to you anyway. That number one candidate, we interviewed all the black people, the number one candidate was these nuts. They wouldn't tell the truth. So.
Who are you? How'd you get my number?
Right. It's all that.
Why are you calling my house?
Right. So I think like in everything else, it's not disingenuous. It's not inconsistent for black people and people of color to be undercounted in anything. So I don't know that that any poll would properly epitomize us, and I just think I paid attention to the polls in that you can see that there is a level of if you were up down 18 points in Iowa and now you're down 4, if the race in Texas is closer, if the race in Florida is closer, if North Carolina and these states have come closer, something has happened. If she was, it's so funny because when Biden had the debate, 2 points, Trump was ahead 2 points on the national average, and that sent the Democrats into a hissy, and they got rid of him. Now in some polls, he's 4 points, and we shouldn't pay attention. So I just take it all with a grain of salt, but I'm invested in it, and I'm looking at what's happening.
Okay, so are you concerned about it? Because they showed momentum, and now they're sort of leveling out.
I'm only concerned. Well, I think here's the thing: the game is in our hands. I think that she's a remarkable woman. I think that when one side is talking about how they can make your life better and impact your life, and the other is talking about whether she's black or not, and Haitians eating dogs, then I think where the moment. I think if he thought he were winning, he wouldn't be acting so unhinged.
Well, he's got to make sure because you know why he can't lose. In his mind, he can't
No,
lose.
he can lose. He can lose, and
No.
ultimately,
I'm saying in his mind, he can lose, of course, but in his mind, he can't lose because that's his mentality because he doesn't want to suffer the consequences of all the court cases.
it's such a like Mark Robinson. He likes chicks with dicks and he's a black Nazi, but he didn't do anything illegal, and they want him out the race. The rapist and the fraud and the felon can stay in. So it's a topsy turvy world. I think that they are. This is the first time I've ever seen such stark examples of the hypocrisy they wield every day, and to not say anything is even more hypocrite.
Well, that was my point, DL, because I said, okay, so it's the porn that's going to get you that gets Republicans to
Right.
for the few of them who are doing it, right,
Right.
to denounce you.
Right.
But it wasn't the crazy shit that you said and all the racist stuff that you said.
No.
I mean, you can
No.
be. He's like the black racist. He's like
Right.
what was his name?
He's a black Nazi. Yeah.
He was a black.
Him,
He was like the.
him and Kanye are black Nazis. Yeah. He fit all the bill. He hated black people. He was misogynistic, and he was obviously protesting too much on one side. The things that he's a self-admitted pervert. So if you any other race, I mean, they voted for a guy named Roy Moore Jr. in Alabama. Overwhelmingly Republicans did, and he was a pedophile. Yeah. So it's the one thing that I will say that I am happy about is that there's no hiding it. There's no obfuscation. There's no mystery. Either you believe in the things you talk about or you don't. And it's clear that most, like at least 42% of the people, talk shit and will do something else. They don't love this country like they pretend to. They don't think of us. They don't believe in the Constitution like they pretend to. They don't have a set of more, because democracy was always a fraught proposition, and it required earnest white men who were with a lot of integrity, and those are in short supply right now. They just are.
Why does it have to be though? Why are the ones that they really hug and fall in love with? Why does it always have to be like a Herschel Walker or a Mark Robinson?
Because Republicans never pick remarkable black men; they pick obedient ones.
That part.
They never pick. They like black men like they like their dogs, obedient. They ain't with people. It's obedience that works with them, and they're unremarkable, obedient, and they have an obligation to not just be obedient, but to be to be loud in your opposition to blackness. Like you'll have Byron Donalds who will smoke a cigar and extol the virtues of Jim Crow, but won't say shit when Haitian children are being threatened because of a lie told. Or you'll have the Tim Scott. So they have, none of them are remarkable men. You can look at Clarence Thomas. He hadn't said anything for decades, and the first time he said anything, he was so quiet. The only way that you knew it was him is because he took pictures with the Supremes. That's the only way you knew. So they are comfortable, because if you're unremarkable, you're compliant. But they don't want anybody who challenges convention. You're not going to make them uncomfortable. The one thing that they warms the cockles of their heart is obedience from black people. Obedience. Do what I say. Ignore all of the noise and just be obedient to me, and parrot back all the things I say. Why is it that all these black people who have black children see what's happening where Haitian, you didn't even have to say whether you were against them lying about them eating dogs. You just had to say it's wrong that the governor of that state had to send state troopers so that children wouldn't get shot on picture day or blown up on picture day because of a lie that your candidate told. You couldn't even say there's no place for violence. Springfield might as well have been Birmingham. And the fact that they can find a microphone to excuse all of this bullshit but are silent when things like this happen tells you that they're exactly the kind of Republican they love.
Mm-hmm. You think about, like we say, the porn, which I love. You're an adult, you can watch. You can watch whatever porn you want, and nobody's kink shaming. Let me get this in the deal. Nobody's kink shaming because you said you called it chicks with dicks, right? He said that he liked this. He said that he likes transgender porn, but
He didn't say that. He said he liked tranny porn, but he used that phrase.
Oh, so okay.
And you cannot.
Now I know why you said it.
And you cannot You cannot watch porn whatever you want. Look at all over the country. Try to watch porn, and it'll ask you if you're 18. It does all these things now. So it isn't in Texas. You got to fill out and show ID. So even it's all the funniest thing is the states that yell freedom the loudest only want the freedom to do two things: tell a woman what to do with her vagina and to have guns. Everything else, drinking, smoking weed, having porn, doing everything that makes you somebody an adult, you can't do that.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is why I wanted to point that, because we were saying transgender. I like to, you're going to get in trouble with that chicks with dicks, but that's your thing.
Oh yeah, because I never get in trouble.
Yeah, but you're the biggest supporter of the LGBTQ community, so I get that. But DL, let me just play this, because I'm wondering, same thing as you. Why wasn't it this shit that got him in trouble instead of the porn, which is, and he's a consenting adults, whatever they do, that's his business. But why wasn't it this stuff, him saying crazy stuff before this, that got him in trouble? Let's play some of it out, because I want our viewers to hear it.
There's no reason anybody anywhere in America should be telling any child about transgenderism, homosexuality, any of that filth. And yes, I called it filth.
We could pass a bill saying you can't have an abortion in North Carolina for any reason.
He says the civil rights movement in the 1960s was, quote, crap, and that Martin Luther King was a communist.
Robinson posted the movie Black Panther was, quote, created by an agnostic Jew to pull the shekels out of your Sforza pockets, using the Yiddish words for money and black.
He referred to the victims of the Parkland school shooting as spoiled little bastards.
He says the moon landing in 1969 may have been fake. He also says there is a secret ruling cabal that is part reptile.
And said that Beyonce is satanic.
So after all that, why wasn't it that stuff?
Because they agree with it. They agree with it. They agree with it. And it doesn't make them look bad. Listen, I don't think most white people are inherently nationalistic. I don't think most white people are inherently racist in the like there's certain words they don't use, there's certain things they don't do. But I think most white people may not agree with the tactics of nationalists and supremacists and the Klan. They might not agree with their tactics, their verbiage even, but they do agree with their goal. And the goal is to make sure that white people stay in power. Mm-hmm. So to the extent that you might not agree with the way that they slaughter the food you like, or how they gather the gas that you use, or how they even, how you get access to your cell phone and all the things that go on with that. They may not like all that, but they want the product. Mm-hmm. There is a reason why overwhelmingly the Republican Party is overwhelmingly white. And that they become more nationalistic and more racist, overtly racist. There's a reason for it.
But they're doing it not just, in the halls of Congress and state legislatures and on campaign stumps. They're doing it through religion now.
Sure. But they always did it through religion.
That's what I write about now. This is my latest book. All right, so make sure you buy it. I'm selling the book.
Yeah, of course I will.
Make sure you buy it. And tell everybody who watches listens to the DL Hughley show to buy it. But they're doing it even more now, especially evangelicals, through religion. They are not only blurring the line between church and state, they're trying to erase it, and it's all about control and power.
I don't know that it's ever been discernibly different. This illusion that it was different. They would beat you and sell your children and rape your woman and tell you about God. And they use scriptures for obedience to tell you that slavery was ordained by God. Mm-hmm. They've always used the religious apparatus. It's the same people in the southern region of the United States of America, the same Bible Belt you talk about, they use that belt to beat black people into submission. Mm-hmm. It's a conundrum. It's like, where is the highest level of porn consumption, the highest level of drug consumption, the highest level of all these things that are supposed to be.
When does Grindr go up, knocked off line? Is that a Republican convention?
So let's stop this notion that we were ever something different than this. I mean, the technology is different, the verbiage may be, the apparatus, the lenses we view things through may be, but the idea is really not that much.
Robinson has said that he is going to go against CNN, right? But
he's
basically alluding that he's going to sue them.
He's not. And he said after this is all over, he was never going to win, first off. And Donald Trump said he's like Martin Luther King. He's more like Burger King, but I digress. He's never going to sue CNN because he was never going to win, and he knows it's true. Can you imagine having to get called into court and do a deposition and having to hear all those things and have them going to the public record? And even if some of them aren't true, the fact that some of them would be, he did all of these things. That is why they left him. And if it's not true, then sue them now. Start your lawsuit now. Why wait? If somebody did something like that to me that I knew was patently untrue, I would yell it to the high heavens. Or he shouldn't even argue. He should just say, I'm a Republican. He should say, how is what he did any different than the standard bearer, the top of the ticket? How is he any different than that? Except, if you remove, you have an adjudicated rapist, a fraud, and a felon can stay at the top of the ticket. But a man who may swing the way you don't, and he hates the same people you hate, he's the one that gets. And I don't want this to come off like I'm trying to defend that son of a bitch, but ultimately it is so blatantly hypocritical, it's laughable.
Okay, man, there's a lot going on. Let's see. I want to get through politics real quick before we go to other things. Did you? Okay, you had me cracking up when you said that somebody was being hypocritical because they were breathing through the nose of a white woman. And I'm talking about Janet Jackson, who's saying that Kamala Harris is white. Then someone said she apologized, and then she goes, no, I didn't apologize. I said what I said.
Right. Ultimately, is this. We are entitled to our own opinions, but not our own truth. It is untruthful to say that it's not an opinion that that Kamala Harris' father is white. You can hit a button and see him. But to make these kinds of aspersions and these kind of cast these kinds of aspersions, she said, well, that's what I heard. And then she said, I heard they found out he was white, but I haven't watched the news in a couple of days. The only way you can find those kinds of things is in the farthest reaches of the internet. You have to go to the right-wing fringe. You will never hear that. There's never, you show me a report in any credible venue. Even Fox News have never said that. You have to go beyond that. You got to go to the fringes of things, the places where Haitians eat dogs and Barack Obama wasn't born here. You went to the fringes and found the lie that they perpetuated. My only question is, it seems ironic to me that a woman would question someone's blackness when you're doing it through the nose of a white woman. You have done everything in your power to not look like what you were born. Not looking. We know our noses are our feature. You've destroyed that. You've had people in your family that lighten their skin. So, and that's your privilege, your prerogative. But what is disingenuous to me, the question is, the people have had questions of whether Kamala Harris is black, right? They ask that question. They pose that question. But they're always, people have had questions about whether the Jacksons want to be. So it's disingenuous for you to have trucking that kind of nonsense anyway.
Or didn't want to be.
Right.
We're talking about Janet Jackson here.
Yeah.
Do you think Janet Jackson, you're saying the furthest reaches of the internet, do you think she's like a QAnon? Because I know that they're a conservative family because of the Jehovah's Witness thing, but...
Listen, I think this. There's a difference between being conservative and being on the fringe. Where have you've been in the reporting game for a long time. There's a certain, even as crazy as some people can be, no news outlet has reported that. Where the fuck did you get it? No news outlet. Fox News 10 years ago was running with the story that Barack Obama wasn't born here. And even they didn't say that. Do you know where you got to look to find that? You got to look to, and here's my whole thing. What is the fucking point? What is the point? What is the point of saying? The point is to make it seem like she's not one of us. That's always been the gameplay.
To otherize her.
Yeah, it is. They do it to us, and then we do it to us. I ain't gonna say we, because I'm not nothing like them. But there are people, there are factions that will do it to us. I don't care what Kamala Harris is. I know she's a black woman. I know. Listen, she was raised in Oakland. She went to an HBCU. She pledged AKA, and she had a boyfriend named Willie. Now, if that ain't black, I don't know what is. Look here.
I
She
had an
worked
uncle. I had Uncle Willie, so I know.
Of course. She worked at McDonald's. She loved nacho cheese Doritos, and her daddy left her mama. Come on now, it's every stereotype. What's happening? What are we talking about? It's silly.
You're crazy.
But you know what's so funny? If you look at Kamala's baby pictures, every black family has a picture of a girl who looked like she just came from outside playing and her hair is wild. Right?
Yeah, she's got one.
Kamala looks just like she did in Oakland. Janet Jackson don't look like she did when she was Penny. I wonder what the
Good
hell was at
times.
the iron.
It was Wilona's
on
adopted
now.
daughter.
Come on now.
Wow, but she has a lot of goodwill built among a lot of different demographics. Do you think she's
Sure.
canceled?
No, I don't. First off, you've never heard me cancel anybody.
Yeah.
I've never talked about that.
Yeah.
There's a difference between calling out what you think is bullshit, and I'm a huge fan of her. I'll go to see her. This is a lie that you can easily provable lie that is being spread. Why it is being spread, I can't say. What is your goal in terms of what is the reason, the rationale for you spreading it? I don't know. And to get a chance to dial it back, to walk it back, and to not do it means you meant what you said, right?
So here, in this crazy sort of political world, and I should have brought this up right after we talked about Robinson, but you got this guy, he's a Senate hopeful, his name is Bernie Moreno, he's out of Ohio.
Right.
Basically saying that he doesn't understand, he said, he was talking about a lot of suburban women are singularly focused on abortion, and that's a little crazy. He also said he does not think abortion is an issue for women who are older than 50.
That is so patently insulted that I'm actually going to put it in my act. But the assumption is that even though you're not, or at the age where you're close to not being able to bear children, doesn't mean you don't have children that you want to see bear children and be responsible and have the right to have autonomy over their body. What kind of a world do we live in and country do we live in where we extol the virtues of freedom, but there's half of our society doesn't have the autonomy of their own body? I don't know how you can yell freedom when you want to subjugate people's bodies. But it's not uncommon. America has always controlled bodies, whether they're black bodies or female bodies, and whether they're one and the same. They have always what kind of men want to control how people wear their hair, or who they can love, or what books they can read, or what they can worship,
An insecure
or what language they speak.
An insecure man.
But powerful men.
Yeah.
Do you know that in most parts of the world, speaking multiple languages is a sign of intelligence? It's a curiosity. But here, it is akin to a death threat. It is a threat.
Yeah. Speak American.
Yes, speak American. It really
Whatever
is.
that means. I got to read this because he's proving the point that I was trying to make that I got in a lot of trouble for, right? Where I said this is how society sees women, and people read it the wrong way. And even let's see, here's what. Are you trying to lose the election? Former Republican presidential candidate Nikki Haley said on Tuesday morning on X, asking for a friend. Haley used the hashtags tone deaf, hashtag Don Lemon vibes, apparently referring to the controversy last year where I said what I said about her trying to make the point that she is in a party with people like this guy, and that she is doing to older people what society has done for women.
Exactly.
For years. And
now everybody, and to your point, just to dovetail on that point, now nobody's saying nothing about how Donald Trump is clearly mentally diminished, and no one's age all of a sudden isn't the problem. So I think it speaks to the level of hypocrisy that they constantly truck in, that people, for whatever reason, they have this level of whataboutism that they feel like it's unassailable, but it is. It is a lie. It was true that what you said about Nikki Haley, and it must be true now because I bet she campaigns for him. I bet she votes for him. She won't say vote against him.
I think she denounced him in that thing.
She denounced him because it's a state. It's a state she can't vote in. She didn't denounce that mentality. Here, the thing that's funny to me is there are all these, like, if you live in a red state, you can't even talk dirty to a woman no more. You ask your girl, who's this? And she gonna say, well, it's the state legislators right now. It's crazy. It's like, it's silly to me.
Okay, we've gotten that off of our chest because there's everybody, instead of, here's the thing, nobody really wants to talk to each other. They just want to call each other out. Like if you look at the immigration bill, right, which could have fixed what was happening. People said, oh my God, I'm concerned about what's happening at the border. Yet Republicans killed the bill at Donald Trump's behest.
Sure.
They could say
But here's the thing that's funny to me. When did Pennsylvania become concerned about the border? Like border states probably, if you're California, you New Mexico, you Nevada, I mean Texas, states that border the border, okay. But now all of a sudden it is the thing, it is your whipping boy. Yeah. It is your red herring, it's your scapegoat. The truth of the matter, America doesn't, politicians and some of their constituents wrangle about illegal immigration. Wall Street doesn't. Mm-hmm. Wall Street knows how profitable it is. Wall Street understands that the reason America has done far better with inflation is because of the influx of illegal and illegal immigrants. Mm-hmm. You want to get rid of illegal immigrants? See how farmers complain. See how poultry producers or people that produce meat or pork complain. See how construction complains. So it is an idea. What they don't want is for those people to come and stay. Mm-hmm. But America has a problem because poor brown people do our intellectual labor, and poor brown people do our physical labor. Mm-hmm. Poor black and brown. So if you can't write an app and you won't pick an apple, you shit out of luck.
Yeah. Listen, I live in out on the east end of Long Island, right, which is in Suffolk County.
I know where it is, goddamn. Let's get to the point. I know where.
What I'm trying to make a point is that people think it's liberal. It's red. It's very conservative.
Of course
right?
it is.
That's what Lee Zeldin was, a congressman, right?
Sure.
And people think there are lots of farms out there and lots of businesses. And you know what I see? I see immigrants doing those jobs. But right, and I don't know. It's not my job. I don't know if they're legal or illegal, whatever. They're doing the roofing. They're doing the farming. They're working in all kinds of the businesses. Everything, they're doing it, and there's a proliferation, I believe, of like Mexican people or people or whatever. But this is a Republican thing, and nobody's saying they shouldn't be here to help us with our businesses and to do these jobs.
No, if you're mad, if Republicans are mad at El Salvadorians for being here, or Mexicans for being here, or Haitians for being here, or Venezuelans for being here, in various other countries, or what they would call shithole countries, you don't need to be mad at them. Poor white people need to do those jobs. If Springfield, Ohio had those job openings, there were white people there that were able to take them. They didn't. It isn't. So your problem isn't with the people that come here. It's if poor white, because here's the problem. If you poor and white, you a nigga. You just don't know it. You are. Your skin say you white. Your pay stubs say you black. So you need to understand, if you want immigrants, the reason they have this whole black jobs and Latin jobs conversation, if poor white people would do the jobs that the immigrants are doing, we would not have this influx of immigrants. We wouldn't have had slavery either. Because America has and always will need somebody to exploit for their labor and then blame everything on. Yeah. So if you want to stop illegal immigration, make sure all those people driving around hating immigrants, but still on the public dole, do the jobs that they do.
So we're both men of a certain age, pretty close to each other. Now, I remember Freaknik, but I don't know nothing about no freak-offs. But have you ever been to a freak-off?
No, Don, I have not. but I will say this.
Yes.
I never liked him.
You never liked, you're talking about Diddy, Puffy.
I never did. And he never did anything around me. It was just the way that, you just have these kind of inklings about people. And I will say that what bothers me the most about this whole thing is a couple of things. Now all these people who are telling their stories and who are saying that, they saw it. And if you saw that and you didn't help,
why not?
You were not a witness, you're an accomplice. Mm-hmm. And I think it's just like 1,000 bottles of baby oil. Nick Cannon has 300 kids and he ain't got $1,000 of baby oil. 1,000 bottles. Like 800 dildos. Who is the dildo wrangler? I like who?
Wait. What?
Like I read 800 dildos.
Oh,
like,
come on, DL. That is impossible. Are you kidding me?
No way. I'm not gonna argue with you, Don. You might, you win, but I read it. You win. But the thing that's hilarious, the thing that's so much, like, and the allegations of drug and women. Listen, I love women as much as everybody else. I ain't gonna drug nobody to get it. I'm from the era when lies worked. Remember that? Remember when you could lie your way into the,
Baby,
like,
you know I love you.
A
right?
groupie ain't got shit on I love you. What are you talking about?
Right.
It's crazy. I just don't understand
you're
it.
the most beautiful in the world. You know I love
Absolutely,
you.
baby, for sure. Am I gonna call you? I can wait. I can't wait to call you. That's crazy.
So what? You never liked him? What was it? A vibe, or did you know what people talking?
I just never. I had never. You know, I never. I'm the boringest. I go to work and come home. I don't really. I'm not. But and now I'm glad I didn't because I don't have to have our lawyer to explain to me, to have me explain my presence. I just never have been. I think that he seemed craven to me. To me. Now I didn't. I don't have anything to base that on other than my personal. You know, like God gives you that first mind, and you listen to your first mind. Well, after you messed up as much as I did in all kind of areas, you just kind of go, "I'm gonna listen to it this time." And he seemed like that kind of guy. And when I saw the video of Cassie, I was not shocked. Not that I had ever even heard anything, but I'd seen the video, and I was not shocked.
Do you think there's going to be a fallout? Everyone said, oh, there's going to be a fallout. There's going to be fallout. More people. There are people in Hollywood now who are scared in the music business and rap and hip hop. They are scared that something's going to come out about them, either some videotape or some underhanded, shady stuff.
Sure. It would be. No one can have a level of criminality that high without accomplices. It couldn't happen.
So you think he's guilty? You said criminality because this is all alleged, but
listen, I'll say this. All I know is this for sure: they got R. Kelly, they got Bill Cosby, and they got Puffy. They have fucked around and arrested. Yeah. They have arrested the 90s. They've arrested. They have arrested everybody on Nick at Night. It's crazy.
And then what was that? Something in Park. What is it?
If you got a VHS, you better look over your shoulder. The feds might be watching you. It's crazy.
Do you think he's ever going to get out?
Listen, I know he's a billionaire, and I know I've seen stranger things. I don't know. I think that it's a very sad situation, and it speaks to how, the one thing that I will say that is consistent with these situations is that there are people who are willing to help them for their own personal gains. There are people who there's nothing you could do that's so debauched or horrible that you can't find somebody to do for you. Mm-hmm. And a lot of them. Now, there's a difference between saying a thing and covering a thing up. Now, that ain't up to me to decide, but ultimately, the one thing that is consistent, and the one thing I know for sure, is whatever you're looking for is looking for you.
So, DL, let's just say I'd have you back in January 20, whatever it is.
Yes.
2025, Inauguration Day.
Mm-hmm.
What does America look like? Because I'm saying that, I'm asking you because we're not going to know, I believe, for a while.
I firmly believe. But I'm from California with the whole Bradley effect. I remember Tom Bradley was running for governor and he was ahead in the polls, and then the next day, nothing that the polls said was true. But I also believe that Barack Obama had a lot to do with shattering that mystique. And I do believe that Kamala Harris, and I respected Hillary Clinton a lot. I think she's done things decidedly different. I think she's legging it out. She's running toward the goal line. Kamala's done things that I know for sure that I would be hard pressed to see another leader do. Kamala invited me and other black men out who she knew she didn't like her. Now, it takes a hell of a leader to sit in the presence of people who are opposed to you. So I think she's doing all the right things. I think that her favorables are going up. I think that she'll win, but I don't think she'll win by a little. I think she'll win by a lot. And I think in terms of what happens when that happens, if she wins by a lot and it's so embarrassing that Republicans can't back Trump's play to say anything crazy, that's one thing. If it's closer and he can say some crazy things that they are willing to align themselves with, then we have a different situation. But I believe firmly that she is doing all the things you need to do to secure a victory. And instead of expecting a vote, she's asking for it, and she's trying to earn it. And I'm very proud of what she's done and the race she's won. I think that, contrary to a lot of things I think or have thought before, Democrats have run a pitch perfect campaign to the extent that we are now hearing, people just saying all these crazy things in a win. And here's the thing that I want to get out of the way right now. I'm a Democrat. I fight hard for my team. If somebody was paying me, I'd say they was. It's like Warren Buffett got rich buying things he believed in, investing in things he believed in. I believe that the progressive idea is better for black people than the conservative idea. I think that there's a difference between progressivism in Minnesota and conservatism in Mississippi. I'm not ashamed of my beliefs. I fight hard for my beliefs. If I were getting paid, I'd say it. I believe the things I believe because I believe they're the best for the people I love. If I didn't believe that, I wouldn't say it. But ultimately, conservatism, most black people live in the southern region of the United States of America, 58%. Yeah. There's a reason the infant mortality rate and maternal mortality rate is high. There's a reason it is.
They don't hear progressive ideas a lot. They don't live in a progressive society. They live in a
That's right. They don't
society.
live in a progressive. And if they did, the reason it is because there are people who would rather you suffer along with you than see you get something. I think that mentality needs to die.
When my family comes from Red, Louisiana, and they come here to New York, they're like, we feel like we're in a different world. We don't have to hear the Trump stuff and all the racist shit. Because it's the same thing. They all the time. That's all they're living in. That's all they see.
When somebody, the best they can offer you is everything costs less. That's the best they can offer you. This is not me statistically living in that region. You live years less because of medicine, because of environmental impact. I was born in 1964. My granddaughter Stevie was born a couple of weeks ago, September. I was born, and I was the first one of my mother's children who was born with the full rights of an American citizen. Affirmative action passed a little later on. There was affirmative action and Roe versus Wade, a little later on.
Yeah.
My granddaughter has been born in Georgia with less rights than me.
Right. Yeah, you're right. So if you and I don't know if you remember 2009, we bumped into each other at the Huffington Post thing.
I do.
Do you remember? You don't remember I chipped my tooth, right? I think you came up and said hello, and I had the glass, and I chipped my tooth. I tell everybody this, so you probably didn't even know. But then if I see you at an inauguration party, you think if you do it'll be because she won. So you think we'll be celebrating a win for Kamala Harris then?
No, here's what I think. Be careful what you ask for because you just might get it. I have every confidence that she will win. I have every confidence that she has the bare bones to make a fantastic leader. But that starts the minute you get what you ask for.
Right.
So I will be exhausted because I think it's been an exhausting process. But at the same time, I will be expecting to see the leader I believe she would be.
Yeah. So can we talk about, because I was out today talking to folks, right, just asking questions. I was like, where do you get your news from, right? Which news source do you think is most credible? What does it look like if there's another Trump presidency? Was it look like it was a Kamala Harris presidency? What are you most concerned about? All those things I was asking people today. And so I'm out there talking to people. And one of the things I did, I think you saw it, is on the way to the convention, I went across country. Right. And I just started asking people about their votes. There were a lot of black men who said, yeah, I'm voting for Trump. I'm voting for Trump. He gave me a check. Blah, blah, blah. You saw it. And I still hear it. I hear it here in New York. I hear it everywhere. What do you think about that?
I think that people are individuals, and whatever sparks to them, sparks it. I'm not going to judge somebody from what it is. I think that it is to me, when you got these ideas don't compute. Trump got me paid when you only got $1,500. When the predicate of being paid was that you weren't making money. So, I mean, whether it's $1,500 or 30 pieces of silver, people are willing to settle even the greatest of us for the least. Yeah. So, I think that what appeals to people is a level of selfishness. What about me? What's in it for me? What do I get? And people who have, men and women who have families and community, people care about the communities. There is something past you. Like, you got to want to plant trees that you'll never know the shade, the benefit of the shade. You got to want things to be better for people that not just you. It's not just generational wealth. It is generational stability, generational hope, generational opportunity. So even if you can't give your child a stock portfolio, you can invest in making the world better for them. And you can do that, and everybody can do that. But when I hear these people say these things which they're entitled to say, it makes me wonder that you're exactly the kind of person that appeals to. It's a level of selfishness. What about me? Which is the biggest selling point. And they can see it in people. Like, I can see this, that people I don't want to be with, they can see that sense of weakness, that sense of selfishness. They can see it. And they knew there's going to be a certain amount of people that spark to it. So I don't have any, most of I feel sorry for them, because if you're living just for you, I don't know what you're doing it for.
DL Hughley, I've always loved you as a comedian, but I love you as a person, as a man. As
Likewise.
A human being now. You're an amazing guy, and I really appreciate you coming on. Keep doing what you're doing.
I will.
I was always proud of you. When you did that at the convention, I was like, now that is a man.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, let me tell you something. My wife was like, since you're apologizing to people.
What about me?
All these apologies you got.
Where am I at?
It didn't work out that great for me, but thanks, Don, for pointing it out again. I appreciate it.
DL Hughley, thank you, sir.
All right, baby boy. Take care.
Thanks for watching The Don Lemon Show. Make sure you click on the image in the top right to subscribe to my channel and the thumbnail in the bottom right to watch more content from my show. And I'll see you next time.